today is July 2nd, 2025, and it's 2:00 p.m. Roll call. And Bradshaw. Present. Dr. Copeland. Dr. Jerkeen.
Present.
Dr. Gorski. Dick Cooner. Tim Neighbors.
Here.
Jeff Nielsen.
Here.
Dr. Penny. Mohammed Yunus. Mary Ann Abadi. We have one public comment, and I do believe the person is from Rosecrans and Carrie Schaffman, if you want to come up again. Schaffman, sorry.
No, they're fine. Well, good afternoon. My name is Carrie Chapman. I'm from the House. Thank you for the funding from the Winnebago County Community Health Board. I'm here to share a success story with you guys. So, just recently, a veteran was admitted to the Rosecrans Nursing campus for detox, where they went on successfully to complete the program. The veteran was able to gain access to the services with Rosecrans Square Center's Veteran Services Program. Months and they are making great strides and progress. They've obtained temporary housing and applications for insurance. They have learned to recognize triggers and use grounding techniques. And they have also joined the YMCA to stay active. Most importantly, they have remained free of any substance use. With continued support, this veteran is building a foundation for a better future and is committed to proving that they can. So thank you for listening.
We like success. Okay, at this time there are no presentations today. And we're moving into the monthly activity report for June.
Yeah, so we're at a nice transition moment. We've completed all of the site visits for the core programs. Certainly would like board member feedback on if you, based on that activity, see that as an annual exercise or if that's something that's more of an every 3-year thing. Definitely takes time on our part to put it all together, but if we find that that's valuable on an annual basis, then we'll look at the calendar cycle and see when that needs to be redone. And then on the accelerator awards, we have just the contract sitting here for the final award that was made to the Juvenile Detention Center, and so that now is all $10 million awarded and contracted. And that program is now not completely closed out because there's operations happening, but the awards are all done. And we also have the HIPAA compliant ride share now going with 15 programs, and that started June 1st for that pilot. So some good progress made, some big milestones in June certainly.
Thank you very much. Moving into our action items, I'm going to need a motion to approve the June minute meeting notes. Yep. Second. And Ralph first. Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Yes.
I do.
Okay.
About the site visits. I know they take a lot of time, but I think we need to be on top of what's going on. And I know just with the site visit, we can't see everything. I do think that it's very helpful for us to see operations up front, not just what individuals are sharing when they come in and make public comment. All right, places I already knew, but I learned a lot more about them during the site visits.
Oh, yeah. I agree, I think we've done. Every agency now. So we had at least one board member, correct, and every, agency or program that we fund, so I think that's, well, I'm approving, can we approve the, okay, and then we can.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then the second item is our fiscal year 2026 budget. And Jason is going to give us a brief presentation of the 2026 budget.
Okay. So just to give you a quick overview of where we're at, kind of our trends. Fiscal year 21 was actually the first full 12-month year, but that's not on here just because we're actually getting far enough along that I can't really fit all the years on one sheet or one slide anymore. But fiscal year 21 was also, there was a very limited amount of spending. It was kind of the start of the year. The grant program was created, but awards had not gone out yet at that point in time, or maybe 1 month had. So it doesn't really show the trend quite as well. Fiscal year 22 was really the first year at scale, although it wasn't, as you can see, the blue line is revenue. So that's always kind of the thing we're trying to get to on spending. And in fiscal year 22, you see there's still a pretty big gap there. Start to close that gap in 23. And happy to say fiscal year 24, which was the last completed fiscal year, which ended last September, we're right there. I mean, it's very close. It's within, I think, a couple of $100,000 of spending to revenue. So didn't see anything add to the fund balance that year. So we're seeing core programs have scaled up basically to where revenue is. And with the accelerator work program, a significant amount of surplus from earlier years has now been committed and is being spent on. So as we look forward to what I've projected based on basically 6 months of actuals for fiscal year 25, you'll see spending exceed revenue, and start to more into that fund balance for fiscal year 25 and then fiscal year 26, with the additional accelerator awards that have been awarded in that spending. If you see that little red star that I put on there, that would be if we spent 80% of what's budgeted in the next fiscal year, where we would be about $25 million. And that's the trend line we're on. So I expect that that's what we're going to need for fiscal year 26. So just want to show you, I know there's always that concern about fund balance, but it's just a historical issue with the time that it took to get started up and then making those awards and commitments for, in some cases, multi-year funding years in advance. Some of that ends up being a good reserve for that. And we had to have some conversations about what the board did with surplus and awarded a lot of that through accelerator. I think we probably have to take another look at it to determine now that the tax has been removed if there are some additional surplus funds that need to be done through special projects. But now that accelerator is done, the tax has been removed for 5 more years, extended for 5 years, it's a good time to take a look at that conversation. So this would be the proposed budget for fiscal year 26, which is going to be October 1st of 25 through September how many days in September? 30th or 31st of 2026, or 30 days, there you go, September 30th. Most of this is gonna be very similar to what we've had. Dedicated technology, we've never exceeded that amount. Basically, the main thing there is covering our grants platform and a few other small tools that we find beneficial along the way. Community engagement helps with any type of public engagement costs or marketing costs to get information out, promotion awareness. Never exceeded that, kept that budget item flat. Legal counsel, we kind of had a good run there where we were significantly under budget, unfortunately, due to some of the things that have come up this past year. The increased need to engage legal, even on reviewing FOIA requests, has been the reality that we're at, and I am projecting that for this past fiscal year, we will exceed what was budgeted for legal, and I think we need to increase that line item from what we had previously budgeted at $25,000 a year to $50,000 a year. Travel, we had $10,000 a year. We've never gone over that amount. That's for conferences or mileage reimbursement for things that we go out and do on behalf of the mental health board. This next year, we want to increase that so that we have some money available for board members as we look at best practice models and special projects. I've talked to you all about the Miami model that I had the opportunity to go visit. I think it would be good to get out there in the fall and have board members see it, and want to have some travel dollars set aside for that. And then training, similarly, that will increase from 5,000 to 10,000, or at least that's what's being proposed. Similarly, never gone over that. There's a workshop cost associated with the Miami model, so certainly want to have some money as well available for board members to engage in some of those future activities. There's also a couple trainings, frankly speaking, that we've avoided because we've been trying to stay so lean that I think would really benefit us. The grant platform that we use has an annual training that we've never gone to based on costs, and I think as we continue to scale up, as we continue to be more in the public spotlight, we want to make sure we're operating everything at the highest quality, and sometimes that what seems, a kind of a low cost overall training can really increase efficiency and decrease liability for the operation. So we'd like to utilize those opportunities. Association dues, same, that's flat, no increase. Main expense there is the state association. They're keeping an eye on all that state legislation for you guys, right? Making sure that any new legislation that hits the act is brought to our attention and the attention of all the mental health boards across the state, and really trying to make sure that the legislators are doing things in the best interest of the mental health boards. So important network to be part of, and also helps us learn best practices in terms of what mental health boards are doing. Food and beverage, just for public engagement. Really haven't used very much of that. Also, we do our learning network meetings with all the funded organizations. We'd like to have some minimal amount of refreshments available. Contractual administrative services is an increase of 10%. I've mentioned that over the last several meetings as we've explored grassroots funding. Completely flat last year with no increase. And with the taking on grassroots funding, we do have to have some additional staff capacity to manage that effectively. Insurance, we have that, the cost of that stayed flat the last year is about $23,000. Unfortunately, again, this year was the first time we've had a claim on insurance, so because of that litigation, there's the potential for that cost to increase, and so just want to be mindful of, there's a really tight window. I think most approved, they usually don't honor their estimates more than 30 days, so there's not a lot of time to bring it back to the board to approve an increase on budget. So just want to make sure there's enough buffer there if there's an increase that we can get that annual coverage. And then finally, the direct procurement, this is another one we've had budgeted for the last couple of years, but not really utilized a large chunk of it. Some of that was being kind of strategically put there for the HIPAA compliant ride share, which is now going forward. So that would be the major cost of that. The other things that we can utilize out of that would be the community engagement technology platform that's cost shared. And that allows for a page where all of the funded programs can be found by community members and find out how to access those programs. And something that I'm looking at right now is a data platform, data tool that can help with community health needs assessments and reduce the cost, staff and labor costs on doing health assessments and some of those functions. So if you move forward with that, that would be minimal cost to this level. Operations, you see, we're still budgeted under 3%. I actually think that's a little too mean. I would like to see it more around 3.5%, 4%, but as I try to get a realistic view of what we do and what I think we're going to be doing over the next year, this is just where we're at. And direct procurement, that's about 1% of the budget, and program grants, which is really the core programs, and then maybe a fractional amount of grassroots based on the grassroots timeline. We'll only see a couple of months of grassroots actually hit this year's budget, so it's pretty higher cost this year, some more cost in the next fiscal year, and then special project awards. So on special projects, we're about 50% of the way through expense approvals for Accelerator. So I anticipate we might see another 3.75 in next year's fiscal budget, and maybe looking at an additional $5 to $6 million in budget to look at for special projects next year. I think we have to keep trying to hit that target number to keep the funding on a reasonable level. So we will board meetings to look at additional special projects. And obviously, more consultants is coming next week to present, so there may be some opportunities. Bulk of the amount, once again, for programs, you see that we're just past the 1-year mark of those 3-year awards. 6 months of the way through the first year, we're at $8.3 million spending on a $20 million per year award. So about 83% of utilization of what I was in. That's good. That's much higher than we've been in the past, and I think that's pretty close to where our goal is of being around 85% of what's actually awarded to what's spent on programs. And our accelerator, $10 million awarded, as I mentioned, at this moment in time right now, about half of that has been actually allocated or has been approved. So we're about 50% work on that, probably for the rest of this fiscal year. Might see another $1 million, $1.5 million, and I anticipate probably $3 to $4 million this fiscal year to close that. And that's really it. So I can answer any questions if you have them. Yeah.
Jason, can you go back a couple slides to that go again, one more? Our guest here today, thank you for coming. Would you look at the bottom line here, please? This is something that is our budget. That's what this R1 charges. Okay, that is amazing to me as a board member. And I look at that, and that's, you can see it doesn't move. It has stayed the same. Now we get questioned about how much we're spending and things of that nature, but I want you guys, folks over here, to know that when we compare ourselves to comparable counties, we'll use Champaign County and McHenry County. I think Champaign's like 14%, what their administration costs are, and McHenry County is around 11%. We're almost 4.
Well, we're less than 4.
Less than 4.
He's trying to get to 4.
He's trying to get to 4. But as you folks can see, that we stay with a very close budget. We have been asked, and I have no problem with the fact that people call us on the carpet. We are accountable. We are held accountable for that, where this money goes. But I want you all to see that that bottom line, there is our administrative costs, and they haven't really moved. Compared to other counties, we're cheap. Okay? I mean, I think that's something to be said about R1 and what they've been doing for us. Okay.
Thank you, Terry. And so that's actually a good segue to the second comment I want to make, that especially for the new board members, the agreement that the mental health board has with with R14 services is part of essentially the renewal for that. It's a 1-year contract that has a renewal with approval of budget. So by approving this administrative cost for us for another year, that will effectively also be the extension.
So did we, look into what, county board was saying with, having to get approval from the county board, in order to end the next year's agreement?
Our board's attorney has looked into that, and is anything that.
In my opinion, it does not require county board approval. If it becomes a sticking point, then we can change the agreement so that it was not an IGA. On the contract or something like that, but in my opinion, it doesn't require it.
That's going to be the next big argument.
What can I do what you just said?
The mental health board entering the, intergovernment agreement with R1. The argument is it has to become, has to be approved by the Winnebago County Board. They threatened that if, we don't agree to the terms, that they will terminate the contract between R1 and
What's the issue?
same issue as always. They want control. So, well, not this.
Tim, you said it would be a term of the agreement.
Terms that was already agreed upon, with basically everything in transparency and, different things of that nature. I don't know, it's mostly been kept under wrap, but it's an intergovernment that the county board gets to approve the R1 agreement. So I think they really want to look at the R1 contract between the board and R1.
With all of the information that has been shared, including all the financial numbers that we were having, how much more transparent could we be?
Yeah. What is there about what we're doing and the information that we have that would say that we should change this?
I don't see anything at this point. The mental health board to be aware with what is going on with the next moves, the next fight with the mental. Oh, I just wanted you all to be aware of the next fight with the mental health board is just the agreement between R1 and the mental health.
Now, is this a complete county board decision? Is it one person?
Yes.
Persons.
Well, I mean,
Is that
It's a
person, is that person, sorry, Mary, is that person or persons willing to come and meet with us?
I don't know, but that one person has a loud mouth. I mean, not a loud mouth. A strong stance with his political party, and they generally do whatever he asks them to do.
however, isn't the chairman in charge now?
That doesn't make a difference, not in this situation. He's in charge of, he's in charge for making executive decisions, pertaining to signing some other contracts outside. He didn't have those powers. some hiring and firing policy that we have. So that's what that pertains to. And still, most of the stuff still has to be some kind of order.
So if this individual persisted, could this cost us taxpayer dollars for litigation?
Just litigation from what our attorney charged us to keep. Just to let us know.
So it's a yes,
Yes.
and that's not money well spent because of one or two persons.
It's a fight, it's a fight.
So Tim, does it make sense for us to make a change in our administrative contractual arrangement based again on what is being done, both the quality of the work plus the cost of the work to be done, and the legal opinion that says that what we're doing is not illegal. Therefore, my thing would be, we continue on our path unless there's something different that is put in front of us to tell us that it's illegal.
I agree.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion for the budget to be,
Right.
go ahead, Jeff.
Following up on all of this, Tim used the word control, and I think that's all it comes down to. But pass the budget, pass the second motion for R1. We approve the next year's operations with R1.
It's already included.
It's already, it's already.
It's already included.
You approve the budget, and it's the intergovernmental agreement
Yeah.
by necessity is approved.
I get that. I'm almost thinking a second motion solidifies it, in my mind, a little bit more. I'll defer to the attorney.
I think that based on the terms of the IGA, you don't have to have a separate motion.
If I may, to the point simply is this: we made the intergovernmental agreement when? How long ago? So 5 years now.
The first year was just a service contract, and then the second year was this.
Okay, so at least 3 or 4 years now, we've been operating under this agreement, which the legality of it has not been challenged, and I don't think it can be challenged on the grounds upon which they're stated, namely transparency. We're more transparent than the big one. Cost, we've already proven, we're lower than any other county of comparable size. So at some point, the idea is, it's not just that what we're doing is not illegal. What we're doing is perfectly legal, it's prudent, and it's a wise use of taxpayers' dollars, that if the bigger board would follow our lead, we'd all be in a better position. So at some point, we have to just go with what we know is right. We've been doing this, and nobody said anything, at least for the first few years. Now, because it can't get control, well, we might look at the intergovernmental agreement. Well, it's been working, and so if you want help, and you want us to show you how, I'm talking to the big board, if you want us to show you how we're doing it, okay, that's great. But in terms of disrupting what we're doing, when we have legal counsel as well as common sense saying that we're doing the right thing, I don't think we should back off of anything or try to keep appeasing something or someone that cannot be appeased. Because if the stated objection is transparency, can't get no more transparency. If it's cost, we're below any other cost that there possibly is. If the issue is accessibility, our board members have made themselves available to go and talk to the county board at any time, we've gone to talk to them personally, all those types of things. So, hey, at some point, I don't think that we need to, if I can say it this way, I don't think that we should let bullies keep us from doing what is right for the people that we've been charged by statute to submit to. Another thing I want to say about the legality of the whole piece, the whole point of having an independent board is independence. And since the statute has allowed us to do this, then we gotta go by what the statute does. And let everybody else adjust as they need to adjust.
I make a motion that we approve the budget as demonstrated and shared with us by our administrative director.
Second.
Just a second. I would like to make a request from you, Tim, that you return to the Winnebago County Board on our behalf, stating that any person or persons who would like to have an open conversation with us, come and do so. Otherwise, we're done.
That's putting Tim in a.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
It is.
I know you're.
I hear all I do is invite them to the meetings, that's all I do it all the time, so I heard it, it's like, invite them to the meetings. So
I would have never made that statement if I didn't think Tim was capable of taking that message.
We have a live motion.
Right.
We have two motions now, a second as well, correct? All right, any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, I will. Kendra Bradshaw,
Yes.
Dr. Copeland,
Yes.
Dr. Giardini,
Yes.
Dr. Gorski, Dick Cooner,
Yes.
Tim Neighbors,
yes,
Jeff Nielsen,
Yes.
Dr. Penny, Mohammed Yunus, Mary Ann Abadi, yes. So the budget is passed, including the contract for all of you. All right, I was going to consult with you real quickly about the budget in terms of Robert's rules. We did not have the discussion that Andrew began on the agenda, but can we entertain that now during the discussion items? Yes, all right.
just direction of staff.
Okay, okay, very good.
I apologize, I forgot, what was the discussion?
Oh,
Oh, it's site visits.
Oh, yes, I apologize. Yes, I think we should continue site visits if possible, because like I said, I think we learned quite a bit about the individual agencies. And I think it also allowed not just agencies, but other R1 staff to get to know the board members as well.
Yeah, I agree, I agree, and I also, would recommend that we keep it up annually. Because we have these 11 services that we're trying to implement, okay? And we have these 42 different programs that are being granted. I think we as a board, we want to promote cooperation and coordination. And I see site visits as, pardon me, a field that allows us to have important conversations about coordination and coordinating, so that, that we keep pushing our agenda forward, that we want as much of cooperation and coordination as we can possibly get. So, yes.
to my knowledge, there hasn't been any discussion about discontinuation.
Yeah, no.
So,
Well, we talked about, Jason brought up the thing of should we do it annually or should we do it
okay, the
once every
frequency
3
now,
years?
yeah.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is I'm a proponent for annual.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing to that? Some of you guys, Jeff, I know I'm gonna preach to the choir when I say this one. But being a co-responder here in our community, I'm gonna encourage you all to sometimes go to our police, whether it's city, county, and see what they do. And they're all supposed to be CRT trained. When I'm with them, I'm seeing it firsthand. And I've been out with our CCRT team, which has also been, very interesting. So I would encourage, and our guests, I would encourage you to go out on ride-alongs, not just one time, but at least a half dozen times. See it through the eyes of a cop, not through the eyes of a politician, the media, or some social justice warrior. See it through their eyes. That's when you'll get a true understanding of it. And one other thing, I also go with the, mobile integrated health. Whoa. That's another one that was really an eye-opening thing for me. I went to an area I never thought existed in this town. And I was in the middle of it. It was really amazing that this nurse, firefighter go down into these tent cities under bridges and then out who knows where, and finding people who need to have their medication. I think what we're doing as a mental health board, being able to provide for that, goes above and beyond. What I also learned from the fire department is that there are fire departments in and around the area, Aurora, Elgin, that are coming here to learn how we do it. We are setting an example. But sometimes we don't hear enough of that. We don't hear enough of the good stuff. But we are setting an example, which I thought was fascinating. So again, I would encourage my fellow board members and our guests today to go out, make the phone call. They'll be happy to accommodate.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to other matters, we are going to go into executive session pursuant to litigation. So, it's time. Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
We have a room reserved for you upstairs if you would previously using, so I can open that for you.
Motion for adjournment.
a second. Do we have to go back into regular session?
Yes, make a motion to go back in the
Second.
Okay, who made the motion?
I'm moving the motion.
Tim and Jeff, okay. So now,
motion. No, there was no action taken in executive session, just for the record.
we have to adjourn a second, but wait, we didn't get approval to go back in regular session. All those in favor, please say aye. Okay. Now, Jeff.
How about we adjourn?
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say
Have a great Fourth, everybody.